Hi everyone, I've got a little subject, well, it's not a little subject, it's an absolute colossal subject that I'm going to have a little talk about today. I've been developing this, and I think everyone probably get how my mind operates, even with pocket of space or stagger formation. You can see probably within the videos that I produce my thought processes and my ideas develop. And this is something that I've been working on and developing in my own mind for quite a while, to be honest. And you'll probably understand most of it, but I'm just going to put a few things together. Now, when people learn to drive, there's a big fear. I was trying to work out why my rear window is all mucky. It was cleaned yesterday. How does that go all mucky like that? Might have just been the stuff that they cleaned the car with. That looks a little better. Yeah, when people learn to drive, there's a fair bit of fear that they have to cope with and get over, and it's down to the instructor to help them out with that. But I've worked out, I think, the main thing that most people do that causes them issues with things on test, and even when they've passed the test, it causes issues to people with a normal driving. And it's quite simply people's lack of ability to judge where the car is positioned. Now, I've done a video on this already, but if we take our view out of the windscreen, from where the bonnet is all the way up to the horizon, most people only look at, well, no, not most people. People, when they are learning and when they're fearful, only generally look at the nearest section to them. If you take this space that we've got from the bonnet up to the horizon and split it into 3 equal sections, the bottom section being 1, middle section 2, top section 3, people cause problems by looking at section 1. Now, I'll explain. It might take a little while to explain this one as well, because it's fairly straightforward, but there's a lot of technicalities to it. So, why do people look at that area? Yes, they're worried about the front of the car and how long it is. This could be a big aspect to why people do it. But generally, I think it's because people are worried about their position, and their instinctive judgment of how wide the car is isn't very good. So where are you going to naturally look? You're going to look down at the curb, and you're going to look down where the centre line would be. And that's the thing that causes people to look in that area as opposed to further up the road. And this causes all kinds of issues, which I'm going to go on to shortly. I'm just going to get through this junction because there's a little bit of a awkwardness this morning because it's busy. It's school times. I'm going to get myself over to St. Helens for a lesson observation. But yeah, people look at this floor to try and judge where they are in the lane. Most of the time as well, I've said this before in other videos, people instinctively take their position from the right-hand side because that's the line that's closest to them. And that's why we have poor lane discipline. What's going on here? Yes, please go down the left-hand side. Don't wait and sit in queue because you're going to block the junction. Use all the space, please. Thank you. All good. So, yeah, going back to what I was saying, people tend to take the position from this white line, and that's one of the reasons, not the sole reason, but it's one of the reasons why people have poor lane discipline, because they're constantly thinking, I've got to go to that side as opposed to keeping left. Now, how does that affect people? Well, it affects people in many ways, but first I'm going to give you the solution. And it's something that you've heard me say about before. It's regarding the left and right knee positions. This has been a revelation for me as well. I'm just going to put this little piece of information together. I'm sure if you've seen the video that you understand where you perceive your left knee to be tracking down the road is the middle of the car. So it allows you to position in the middle of the lane. It allows you to go over the speed bumps where you need to get your wheels, or you should try and get your wheels either side. It allows you to go over them. But the main thing, it actually allows you to position your car while still looking nice and far up the road. There's also an added element with your right knee. So your left knee's middle of the car or middle of the lane, or hopefully both. And then your right knee is where your right wheels are. Now, this can be transferred to the instructors this side. I'll go on to talk about that in a moment. But when you are driving, if you think about the space that you have, if your left knee is in the middle of the lane, and remember, you can do this by looking nice and far up the road, and you know your right knee, where your right wheels are, is okay with the space this side, you also know that the space must be equal that side, because your car is in the middle of the space. So it allows judgment of space and speed whilst still looking up the road. And that's one of the things that people do struggle with. They arrive into things too quick, and it's generally because they're looking down at the floor. Now, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to block the junction. When can I clear this guy? I think he can clear the yellow box. I'm happy with that. Can't clear the crossing yet, but there is a little space in between the two. I'm good there. Looks as though the bus is possibly broken down. I'm not going to go into this situation. It's probably normal for this time of day all around the country. So you understand where I'm coming from, hopefully, regarding your left and right knee positions. When you're an instructor, or if you're sat on the left-hand side of the car, if you're driving a left-hand drive car, perhaps, it's the other way round. Your right knee would be in the middle and your left knee would be where you perceive the left wheels to be. And again, you can work out space, not by looking down at the floor, but by lifting your eyes up. Let's just find my way in here. I'll let this one go past and see it is doing a sterling job. Nice work, thank you. Okay, so here, too close to stop with that one. That one came through as well. So remember, amber means stop unless it's unsafe. And that situation, even though they did a good job at holding back and let me out, they were a little close. So be super aware of how close people are all the time. This driver, I think they're possibly, I'm not going to sit now in a blind spot, I'm just going to go past and roll past. Look at this blue Focus position behind. I think they're possibly wanting to come out round these cars turning. Let's have a little look. Need some fuel. Have a little look at the Focus behind. So these little observations regarding people's position can give you little clues. Slightly sidetracked from what we're talking about today, but when you are positioning, just ensure that you're not misleading people. And this is one of the things that people can do when they're learning to drive, or they're a poor driver. There's no embarrassment in holding your hands up and saying, listen, I'm poor, I'm pretty rubbish at judging where I am in the lane. What I'm doing here, I'm putting my left knee in a position I want the middle of the car to be, and therefore I know my space is good that side. Left knee now in the middle of the lane, great. So because my right knee is so far away from that line, I know because my left knee's in the middle of the lane that the gap is pretty equal that side. Now, go back to what people do if they don't use this sort of technique to judge. They're going to be looking down at that little patch in front, and what they'll be doing is probably zigzagging between their lane position, perhaps taking the position too close to this centre white line, if it was marked any good. It won't be because it's Merseyside. What will that then cause if they're just taking the position off this? They won't have seen the car reversing out yet. No problems. And what they will do is, because they're taking the position from this white line, their perception of what is to the left won't be very good because they won't have seen it. They'll be looking really close, only taking the position from that line. So that can lead to many things. Just imagine going past the cyclist, for example. See the cyclist late because I'm really worried about the width of my car. I'm looking over this bonnet and I'm taking a position from this white line. Whoa, cyclist, I've just close past them. Hopefully you're following. I try and get instructors to understand this straight from the off as well. And this is, honestly, if you cure this with your students and you get them having the ability to position their car nicely in the middle of the lane whilst looking up and not looking down on the floor, they'll be able to see the bus parking in. They'll be able to see the buses clearing. They'll be able to see the traffic lights and the queue up ahead, and they'll start working things out. I call it fluff. Looking at the shit that people don't need to do. And this looking at this area number one in front of the car is the biggest problem for all kinds of mistakes. Let's have a little think. Why wouldn't I see the speed limit here on this road? Where are signs? Up on this lamppost. What if I'm looking at the floor though, because I'm worried about my car's lane position? Am I going to miss it? Potentially. What about this next junction on the left if I was going into Kirby Valley Golf Course? I fancied a game of golf. I would not be able to judge how sharp this corner is if I'm just looking at a patch in front of me. Why would I approach quickly into things? Because I haven't sussed out the width of the road and perhaps the steering input. So you can see how it would affect even going into that road. Why would I block this junction? Same thing, because my eyes are looking down. I've been through the driving test report form, the DL25, with a number of my instructors. And if you go through, there's 3 columns to it. The left-hand column is your car control column, and your middle column and the right-hand half column are all the things that happen out on the road. Go through that if you are an instructor and try and work out how many of those things could be down to this single fault alone. And it's massive. Now, I know cars are getting bigger nowadays. They really are. It's harder to judge. I'm pulling a face while I'm doing this. Harder to judge the size of the car. It sort of is, but it isn't. This works on any vehicle. Your left knee tracks where the middle of the vehicle's going. When I first did this video, on the left knee, a guy who trains airline pilots got in touch, and he said, it's amazing that you're using this technique, Ash. We're talking probably 18 months or so ago at least. He said, it's amazing you're using this technique because when I'm training pilots to line a jet up at the gate on the line, I use exactly the same technique to get them properly lined up. So it even works on an aeroplane. Now remember, it's not where your knee is pointing, it's where your knee is tracking. And that's the best description that I've found with this. So just practice what I've been saying about looking up, making certain that you're doing your positioning, if possible, trusting your peripheral vision and the near stuff to you. So I stopped behind this Golf, looking past and through it, knowing that I can still see all of it. Don't look down at the floor to do things. I think with the queue, I'm just going to try and find my way in here. Is he going to let me in or block me? No, he's going to let me in. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Not sure what is going on with this roundabout. It's just chocker everywhere around it. Looks as though it's is it the roadworks up on the East Lancs? Looks as though the motorway is pretty heavy as well. Anyway, here's what it is. I will get to my destination, I'm sure, but hopefully that little video that I've done today will help many people. Hopefully it will help the instructors. Please, please, please try and get your students' eyes up and working out where the left knee is and where the right knee is, and it's going to give them that judgment of how small the gap or how big the gap is coming into it really early. If your right knee's close to something and your left knee's in the middle of the space, that means your left side's close and you need to slow down. It's that straightforward, it's that simple. People look where the car points, they don't look around the corner to where we're going. So left knee's tracking over this arrow. My eyes are up. I'm looking beyond at the queue through the lights. I've stopped peripherally because I'm not looking at this area. That little area at the bottom of the screen, section 1, is pointless. So instructors, please try and implement this, it will help. And everyone who does have that fear of how wide your car is, try this technique and work with it, because it is absolutely immense. It's so simple, it's so straightforward, like I said, but the technicalities behind it and why people make mistakes, for me, have been really interesting over the last little bit. I'm stuck in traffic. Hopefully get to my lesson observation. Not looking good, but I'll see you all soon. Thanks for your support.